This is Oisín Mccombe, and I'm with the band Téada, and you're all very welcome and listening to the Irish and Celtic Music Podcast.
Show number 726. Interview with Teada. Welcome to the Irish and Celtic Music Podcast, helping you celebrate Celtic culture through music. I am Mark Gunn. I am a Celtic musician and also host of Folk Songs and Stories, currently called Quest and Chorus. That's a special podcast series that I put together for fun, but also to share some of the places that I've been traveling and some of the thoughts I've had as I've been out on the road. There's a lot of Celtic music over there as well, so go check that out. You can find that at pubsong.com. This podcast is for fans of Celtic music. We are here to build a diverse Celtic community and help the incredible artists who so generously share their music with you. If you hear music you love, please email the artist, let them know you heard them on the Irish and Celtic Music Podcast. Musicians depend on your generosity to release new music, so please find a way to support them. Buy a CD, shirt, digital download, join their community on Patreon, or get an album pin. You can find a link to all the artists in the show notes along with show times when you visit our website at CelticMusicPodcast.com. And the album pen idea continues to grow. I released several new wood album pens at DragonCon a couple weeks back, and it's just blowing up. I'm really pleased with this idea. And if you are a Celtic musician or a musician at all, and you want to learn more about it, send an email to follow at bestcelticmusic.net. You can also learn how to subscribe to to the podcast while you're there. You'll get a free music-only episode, in fact. You'll also learn how to get your band played on the podcast. Bands don't need to send in any music, and you will get a free ebook called Celtic Musician's Guide to Digital Music. It's free. Again, send an email to follow@bestcelticmusic.net. Irish Fest Atlanta is happening November 7th through 9th. You'll enjoy exclusive concerts with Open the Door for 3 with special guest Liz Carroll. That's on Friday. And Teada is on Saturday, and I'm super happy to have an interview with Teada in this week's show. So stay tuned for that. In the meantime, we kicked off the show with Ryan Mccombe. That was My Side of the Ocean from his album of the same name. And that was a New York City session from 2025, it's listed as. So go check that out. You'll find a link to Ryan Mccombe in the show notes. Next up is Eimear Arkins with 13 Arches and the Hairy-Chested Frog from Here and There.
shoes and you're twirling around in the long grass. High in the hills, I watch you melt into the sunset. You're warm like the summer, you're bright like the sky. You're all of the things that I need in my life. Dance like nobody's watching. Laugh like our hearts are free. Sing like nothing else matters. 'Cause I'm alive with you and you're alive with me. 'Cause I'm alive with you and you're alive with me. Memories of empty pursuits, searching for meaning. A man in a mask who never knew what what he was feeling. You showed me the summer, you showed me the sky, you showed me the things I could have in my life. Dance like nobody's watching, laugh like our hearts are free, sing like nothing else matters, 'cause I'm alive with you and you're alive with me, 'cause I'm alive with you and you're alive with me. Summer, you're bright like the sky, you're all of the things that I need in my life. Dance like nobody's watching, laugh like our hearts are free, sing like nothing else matters, 'cause I'm alive with you and you're alive with me. Dance like nobody's watching, laugh like our hearts are free, sing like nothing else matters, 'cause I'm alive with you and you're alive with me, 'cause I'm alive with you and you're alive with me, 'cause I'm alive with you and you're alive with me.
That was We Banjo 3 with Alive With You from Open the Road. Hey, I do want your feedback. What are you doing today while listening to the podcast? I'd love to see a picture of what you're doing while listening, or see if there's a new CD, Celtic band that you heard or saw recently. Send a picture. You can do it all at follow@bestcelticmusic.net. In the meantime, I want to get started with this interview with Teada. I had a great chat, so let's get started with it. Welcome to the Irish and Celtic Music Podcast. Today we have an interview with Teada. I am talking with Aishin McDermott, and they're performing at Irish Fest Atlanta this November 7th through 9th, 2025. Welcome, Aishin. How are you doing?
Doing great, Mark. Great to chat with you about our upcoming show in Atlanta.
We're really excited to sing you. I've been seeing your names, the band name for, I don't know how long it's been, but maybe that's a good place for us to start, because you can tell me a little bit about your history. How did the Teada get started?
Yeah, well, believe it or not, we will be celebrating 25 years on the road next year. So we started back in January of 2001. And the first thing we ever did was a TV show that was being recorded for the Irish television station. Well, it's now called TG Cahar, so it's an Irish language, wonderful Irish language television station in Ireland. And they were making a music show called Flusk, and they recorded in a couple of different locations around the country. And the idea was to find a nice location to shoot some, good live music sets, and also to record some good music video type of footage with traditional, I suppose, up and coming traditional acts as well. So I was invited to put something together for that. It was being recorded in Sligo in 2001. So that was the first, I suppose, genesis of Teada. And to do that, I drew on a number of people that I was recording with the previous year. I was asked to record an album for an Irish label called Clo Iar Connacht, and I recorded an album with a couple of great musicians, Brian Fitzgerald and Michael Rooney, and also included John Blake on guitar, and Tristan Rosenstock on baron, amongst others. So kind of the genesis of some of those musicians started Teada, and actually one of the guys, Tristan, that I mentioned there, a great friend of mine from many years, and a great Irish language scholar as well. He came up with the name Teada, which means strings in the Irish language. So it had a string focus back at that stage, but obviously it has grown a little bit over those last 25 years.
Fantastic. That's a interesting start, starting with a TV show. How did you get particularly involved? I mean, why did you stand out and that they wanted to bring you to put this together?
Well, at that time, I was, I suppose, starting. I just finished college, studied music in college, and was, I suppose, getting active in the music scene in Ireland, and had just recorded that album and starting to play some live concerts around Ireland. So, I mean, the great thing about having these kind of TV shows, and look, there's been many wonderful TV shows since, and there's never been as much Irish music, really traditional music on the TV here in Ireland. It's fantastic. Really? But all these things are great because, particularly when they give opportunities for people that are the legendary names, but also people that are up and coming and at the various stages of their careers as well. So they give encouragement. I mean, it gave great encouragement to myself at that age to be given an opportunity like that. And like a lot of things, when you start or when someone gives you a little start or an opportunity, you never know where it's going to end up, right?
Yeah, I feel like I need to dig into that a little bit later, but because I met a band in Wexford this summer, Tulua, and it just had this glimpse of is this a future of, your band? Is that you talk about the legendary bands and such, the bands who've been around forever. And I'm like, well, and here you are 25 years later. Wow. Could this be another stepping stone for them as well? That's really cool.
That's it. You never know. I mean, until you start, you never know where it's going to go. So it's great to get that little bit of encouragement when you're getting started.
Yeah. So let's start get some music playing from your group. Do you have a song or tune that you could have us play on this show?
Sure. Well, do you want to start with modern day Teada, or do you want to go back to the?
Why don't we start with something from your history? Maybe something from an early album.
Of course. Yeah. Well, we recorded fairly early in our life as a band. Probably because we were doing a lot of touring, and you needed an album as such. So our first album was recorded in 2002. We just called that Teada Irish Traditional Music. We didn't give it any more of a name after that. But subsequent to that, we recorded a couple of albums for the label Green Linnet, who are a big Celtic music label in the US. They were based out of Connecticut. A lot of the great bands were recording, and indeed solo artists were recording for them back in the 1990s and into the early 2000s. So we recorded an album for them called Give Us a Penny and Let Us Be Gone. And that was a little line that was taken from a song that the Wren Boys do on St. Stephen's Day. It was just a kind of a themed track that we did on the album. So that's where the title came from. And there's a set of reels there that a lot of people love to request from us ever since. It's probably one of the faster selections of reels that we recorded over the years. So it's a couple of reels, and the last tune thing's called the Flannel Jacket, and the middle tune is a reel called Peter Horan's, and it was played by two great musicians from the area where I live here and learned a lot of my music, County Sligo. Peter Horan was a legendary flute player who only passed away probably 10 years or so ago, an amazing guy. And he played with a great Sligo fiddle player called Fred Finn. So that's where that particular tune came from. And the first tune then came from a flute player called Michael Hines from County Clare, who lived in London for many, many years. And this tune came to us via John Blake, who was playing flute and guitar with us at that time, originally from London.
Awesome. Well, here it is. So that is the first of many albums that you put out. How many albums have you released?
I'm counting here. Not that it's been that many. I think it's just more a reflection on my poor memory. But let's see. We have. I'll call out the names. Yeah, we had the Irish traditional music. We had Give Us a Penny and Let Us Be Gone. After that, we had Iné Amórach, which is Yesterday, Tomorrow. Then we had Ceol agus Cuimhne, which is Music and Memory. And then after that, we had Aineoin the Sturma, which is In Spite of the Storm. And then our latest one, which is Coiscéim Coiligh, As the Day Brightens. So I think does that make 6 or 7, one or the other.
Yeah, fantastic. And the newest album, tell me a little bit about it. How did it come together?
Yeah, our newest album was recorded in Dingle, and we were very, 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 very lucky to have the amazing talents of Seamus Begley, the legendary West Kerry singer and button accordion player, with us for many years in Teada. We had an incredible 10 or 11 years with having Seamus as our singer. Amazing person, amazing artist, amazing in so many different ways. It passed away suddenly about 2.5 years ago, but we're very thankful for the great times that we had with Seamus. So he was a big part of that last album that we did, Coiscéim Coiligh, which is an Irish phrase or saying that translates not directly, but translates indirectly as the day brightens, at that time of the year when people know that the days are getting brighter, and it brings that bit of optimism to it. And the reason we recorded a lot, the bulk of this album before the pandemic, and then like a lot of albums that it didn't get totally finished off or released during the pandemic. So we were delighted finally, after the few years of wondering how long we were going to be sitting on this album and not being able to play music live for people. We finally got to release it. So I suppose when you have to wait for something, it sometimes makes it more exciting in the end. So we were delighted to get that out. And we also had a fun guest vocal track with the amazing John C. Reilly.
Oh, cool. Wow.
Great guy who Seamus and himself got to meet in Ireland a couple of times and struck off this great and fun friendship. So we thought it'd be fun to do a vocal track with the two of them, and that's on the album as well.
Fantastic. So you said you recorded it in Dingle. Did you have any other guest musicians? What do you do when you're traveling in the studio and such? Do you spend the entire time in the studio, or do you soak in the environment? Spend time in sessions at night? How does that work for you?
Well, that's particularly when you're talking about Dingle, that is a very apt question for sure. And it's, I suppose, it's not always the best idea to imagine you're going to get lots of work done in a beautiful and fun place like Dingle. But a band is different, I suppose. I've worked on smaller projects, solo albums and stuff like that. And when you work with a group of people, it's a very different thing. And you kind of have to, because it's difficult to get availability from people and everyone's time is precious. So when you do get those few days freed up, that everyone is free to jump in and throw themselves into a project, you've no choice. You have to go for it. So we, when we record more or less, because we've never been a band that has spent a long time doing albums. Every album we've done, we spend a few days doing it. That's it. Yeah. End of story. So we were down in Dingle. We were working with a great friend of ours, an amazing musician himself, Donna Hennessy, who played for many years with Loonis and Sharon Shannon, an amazing guitar player. So we were recording with Donna, very, very hard worker and talented guy. So look, we got the job done. We did long days, and he was a patient guy. We did have a lovely tune one night with John Sheehan, the fiddle player, I suppose most famous for his playing with the Dubliners, that great band over so many decades. And lovely, wonderful all-around guy and musician. And we had a couple of tunes with him late late one night, and he taught me a beautiful tune that he composed called Amongst Friends. So we liked it so much that the following day we actually went in and recorded that particular tune on the album. But most of the other tunes on the album were pre-planned, but that was the spontaneous last-minute addition to the lineup. Cool.
Well, let's listen to it. This is Among Friends, Hornpipe number 139 in the Staten Island. right, we are back, and I have some rapid fire questions that I would like you to provide some thoughts about, if you're willing. Let's start off with to get a little bit more of your background. Name a Celtic album that inspired you.
Oh, well, I'm going to go right back to my childhood in the 80s. I was living in County Clare at the time, and outside the record store there in Ennis, I picked up a cassette, a funny looking cover. It had a kind of a photo of a synthesizer, and it was an amazing album from Paddy Glacken, fiddle player, great Dublin fiddle player, and a guy called Jolyon Jackson, who was born on the island of Penang in Malaysia. And the reason I remember that is we actually went on to play at a festival out there.
Oh, nice.
A number of years ago. Great place. And he moved to Dublin as a kid and was very involved in experimental music in Dublin in the 70s and 80s and that. So it was two people from very diverse musical backgrounds, two very talented musicians, making something fresh and new. And I love that album. Played it to death when I was a kid. And it's great to go back to those albums and hear them every so often. Amazing music.
Do you ever find yourself looking back to that album as inspiration for the new stuff that you work on today?
No, not really. But I think what it did, what I would draw from it is the kind of harmonic adventureness was beautiful in that, because Jolyon was coming at it from an unconventional place. So he brought a freedom and experimentation to that. And I've always found in my musical life, I'm so drawn. I don't play a harmonic instrument as such, even though you can certainly bring touches of harmony to the fiddle. But I've always just really, really so excited by listening to interesting harmonies and chords. So maybe some of it was started back then.
Yeah, that's very cool. Yeah, it's funny how the music inspires you in various ways, many ways,
Right.
Now y'all tour quite a bit, right?
Yeah, when we can, absolutely. Yeah, it's one of the great pleasures of being a musician.
Where do you tour? Where have you been around the world?
Well, my regular spot is the US, of course, and been coming out there. My very first time to play in the US was back in the late 90s, and that was a tour that was put together by an Irish music organisation called Coiscéim, Erin, and they would pick some, I suppose, up-and-coming young musicians and put them on a couple of weeks tour. So that was amazing. First exposure, first time in America. That was incredible. And then I brought Teada there right at the beginning. The very first tour we ever did with Teada was a short tour I put together in June 2001, where we played mostly around the East Coast, made it down as far as Virginia, maybe up as far as Boston. And our very first show was in Martha's Vineyard, a great lady who I had taught the fiddle to at a couple of festivals in Ireland, Mary Wolverton. She said to me, well, if you ever make it to the States, I'd be happy to put on a concert for you. And maybe she didn't realize I would actually take her up on it. And that was the first show we did. So very grateful. Like I said, very grateful for people who, give you those, that helping hand at the beginning.
Yeah. So you're going to be at Irish Fest Atlanta in November 7th through 9th. 2025. And I'm kind of curious, you have a show there, right? First off, let's start with that.
Yeah, we do. We'll be playing on the Saturday night of the Great Irish Fest Atlanta at the Roswell Cultural Arts Centre, which is a great space. I actually played there with another show that I produced called Irish Christmas in America. We did a show there a number of years ago, and so I know the venue well, and we've been already a number of years ago we've played at the Irish Fest Atlanta, and we had an incredible time. I remember one of the other acts was Mick Maloney's Green Fields of America.
Nice.
Fantastic, and that was probably one of my last times to see Mick before he passed a few years ago. But it's a great festival run by people who have a great passion for passing on the music in the area. I'm going to give a special shout out to Teresa Finley, who I've known for many years, and her son Phádraig as well, a great fiddle player. And love this festival. It's it's an intimate festival. It's a nice small festival that you come along. You'll have an opportunity to meet everyone that is there. And but the music is high quality, and of course there are workshops as well, which is a very important bit of it.
Yeah. Are you doing some workshops?
Absolutely. The workshops are great because, playing on a stage is fantastic, but you don't always get to chat to the people that are there. I mean, if they come by the end of the night, we're always delighted to get to meet some of the people that have come along to listen. But workshops are great way to meet some of the local musicians, I find, in a place, and to just enjoy speaking to people and getting to know them and getting to chat about music to them. So we always have fun at the workshops.
Now, are you teaching fiddle? Is that what you're doing?
Yeah, I'll be teaching fiddle, and some of the other Téada members, Tristan will be teaching bodhrán. We'll have Paul will be teaching accordion, and we'll have Damien teaching flute. We'll have Samantha teaching piano accompaniment, and Sean teaching guitar. And then we have an amazing vocalist with us from Sligo as well, Niamh Farrell, and Niamh will be teaching the singing workshops.
Wow.
So there's something for everybody.
It looks like you're dominating the workshops on Sunday. You're listing all of them. Like, boom, 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 boom. Here you go, right there. So basically, you can learn to all of the instruments from Téada on Sunday at Irish Fest Atlanta.
Pretty much.
That's fantastic. I'm looking forward to being back there myself. All right. Well, let's play one final track, and we will close things out. Can you tell me about your final? Give me a little story about one of your tracks.
Great. Well, in Téada over the last 25 years, we've always enjoyed digging back into the past and finding rare tunes and bringing them back to life. But we've also been delighted to play some of the beautiful new tunes that people are writing all the time. So this was a special track that we put together to feature three great composers that are composing nowadays. So it's a selection of reels. It starts off with Greta's favourite, which was composed by a great County Cork accordion and fiddle player called Richie Dwyer, one of the famous Dwyer brothers there from County Cork, from Beara in County Cork. And we'll follow it with a tune that was composed by a great guitarist, friend of ours, Michael Mccombe from County Monaghan. He actually toured. He's done a couple of tours with Téada over the years, and his tune is called Grist for the Mill. And then the last tune has got a great Irish title. I know you're very interested in Irish. This is a great Connemara title, Real Johnny Phádraig Pheter, because it was composed by a great button accordion player called Johnny O'Connelly. His dad was called Johnny Connelly, and Johnny was an amazing legend of the melodeon in Connemara. All the dancers wanted Johnny Connelly to play for them when they danced. So Johnny Og, his son, an amazing musician and composer, composed this in memory of his dad, who passed away a few years ago. And the name Real Johnny Phádraig Pheter reminds us of that tradition in Connemara of having multiple first names, because there were so many people that might have the name Johnny, and to distinguish between them, you had to maybe add their father's name and maybe their grandfather's name after them. So Real Johnny Phádraig Pheter, and that's just the first name.
Awesome. All right. Well, this is Téada from their album Coiscéim Coiligh, As the Days Brighten. Thank you, Aishin, so much for giving me some time to chat about the band and your music. I look forward to seeing you at Irish Fest Atlanta. It's going to be great.
Mark, it's been a lot of fun talking to you, and we look forward to seeing you all, hopefully at Atlanta, Irish Fest Atlanta, coming up very, very soon. It'll be a great, great weekend.
I hope you enjoyed that interview. And as always, these artists, all of them on the show, they rely on your generosity again. So if you enjoyed this interview, go check out Teada. You can see them at Irish Fest Atlanta in November. But you can also see them traveling all around the nation and the world too, I believe. So you can find them and their music's available. Go stream it, go download it, buy something from them, whatever you can do to help them out. Thank you, patrons of the podcast. Because of generous people like you, the Irish and Celtic Music Podcast release new episodes nearly every single week. Your support doesn't just fund the show, it fuels a movement. It helps us share the magic of Celtic music with thousands of new listeners and grow a global community of Celtic music lovers. Your contributions pay for everything behind the scenes: audio engineering, stunning graphics, weekly issues of the Celtic Music magazine, show promotion, and most importantly, buying the music we feature from indie Celtic artists. If you're not yet a patron, you're missing out. Patrons get early access to episodes, music-only editions, free MP3 downloads, exclusive stories and artist interviews, a vote in the Celtic Top 20, and of course, occasional concerts. Join us today and help keep the music alive, vibrant, and independent. Special thanks to our new and continued patrons of the podcast, Severin and Lisa Cawthron. This is your 3-step plan to support the podcast. Number 1, go to our Patreon page. Number 2, decide how much you want to pledge each and every month. $4, $12, $25. Number 3, keep listening to the Irish and Celtic Music Podcast to celebrate Celtic culture through music. You can become a generous patron of the podcast on Patreon at songhenge.com. All right, let's get back to the music. Erin Ruth released a new album last week. It's called Traditions and Original Work. This is a Galician track, Estrelina. Here's Erin Ruth. was Lane to the Glen with Aughamore, The Bog of Allen and Tom Maguire's Fancy. It's from their album, Lane to the Glen. And it does feature Ocean. I hope you enjoyed that track. And I hope you enjoyed this entire episode. If you want to enjoy a music-only episode, then you definitely need to become a patron. Or if you want to get that Tulua concert, which is now available for our Songhingers and above, then head on over to patreon.com/Celtic Podcast or songhinge.com. We're going to finish up with No Murder, No Moustache. This is Feels Like Home from their album, The Odds Are Stacked Against. Thank you so much for listening. I will be back with a full episode next time on the Irish and Celtic Music Podcast. Sláinte.
We never sought responsibility. We never asked to see things differently. But we always felt an empathy, an emptiness inside. In this cruel and ruined society, we're damned to be alive. And we can see the end of the world that we know. And we can sit here hand in hand and watch it burn. And we can shape the ashes to a world of our own. And when I see it in my heart, it feels like home. Fighting for ourselves alone. And if you're with us, then you're never really on your own. There's a million minds will never change the brainwashed status quo. And even if we build a better world, they'll never wanna go. But we can see the end of the world we were sold, where bigotry and greed are placed upon a throne. And we can sense the end of the road. We can hear the death knell as our numbers they grow. We can stand, we can fight without fear in our hearts. We can whisper or scream from the morning till night. We can challenge oppression or take to the streets. And it all makes a difference. We give what we can. And we never give up. And we never back down. In the dark, in the rain, in the cold, empty towns. While there's breath in our lungs, while there's blood in our veins, we will never stop fighting and striving for change. 'Cause we can see the end of the world that we know. And we'll be singing arm in arm as it burns. And then we'll shape the ashes to a world of our own. And when I see it in my heart, it feels like home.
Support for this program comes from international speaker Joseph Damon, teaching the ancient roots of the Gaelic people. Learn more about their origins at sightedmoon.com. Support for this program comes from the Cascadia Cross-Border Law Group, creating transparent borders for more than 25 years, serving Alaska and the world. Find out more at cascadialawalaska.com. And support for this program comes from Hank Woodward. If you want to become an unwriter, sign up at Patreon. The Irish and Celtic Music Podcast is produced by Mark Gunn, the Celt Father, and our patrons on Patreon. The show is edited by Mitchell Peterson with graphics by Miranda Nelson Designs. Visit our website to follow the show. You'll find a link to all the artists played in this episode. Todd Wiley is the editor of the Celtic Music Magazine. Subscribe to get 34 Celtic MP3s for free, plus you'll get 7 weekly news items about what's happening with Celtic music and culture online. Best of all, you will connect with your Celtic heritage. Please tell one friend about the podcast. Word of mouth is the absolute best way to support any creative endeavor. Finally, remember, our planet's future is in our hands. The overwhelming evidence shows that human activity is driving climate change, from record-breaking heat waves to rising sea levels. But the good news is we have the power to fix it. Every choice we make, reducing waste, conserving energy, supporting clean energy, lobbying our political leaders, moves us towards a more stable climate. Start a conversation today. The facts are out there, and the future is ours to shape. Promote Celtic culture through music at CelticMusicPodcast.com.